Pop quiz hotshot. What is greatest arcade beat 'em up of all time?
X-Men.
That's right. Allowing teams of up to 4 players to take control of the biggest, most popular superhero team in all of comics was a brilliant idea. Kids were already pretending to be these characters when they were playing in the backyard. The arcade cabinet just took what they were imagining and made it visible. An idea that proved its worth with an avalanche of quarters. Although that genre fell practically silent at the beginning of the 21st century, it has experienced a welcome return, and a bit of a renaissance as well. I won't go into detail here since I already made a 3-part series about the history of beat-em-ups. You can check it out. The arcade, and gaming in general, has changed a whole lot since the 1990s. But that core idea, playing pretend, has not. Players love to step into the shoes of their favorite characters, and encouraging a little bit of make-believe can transform a simple game into an exhilarating experience that feels like so much more than the sum of its parts. Many games that followed tried to replicate the magic of X-Men to varying degrees of success. And now, almost 30 years later, a true spiritual sequel graces our digital storefronts. Marvel Cosmic Invasion was built upon the same framework. A team of superheroes punching their way to the other side of the screen. This game just has a little more going on under the hood, and a fresh coat of paint. The visual style perfectly walks the line between classic comic books and 16-bit pixel art. And all of the characters look absolutely gorgeous in motion, thanks to their incredibly smooth and detailed animations. If you're a Marvel fan, but not a gamer, you'll probably enjoy watching a playthrough video and seeing your favorite characters in what is basically a short action cartoon. All of the art and animation in this game is 10 out of 10 stuff, no notes. The Jack Kirby influence is delightfully apparent. His classic style adapts quite well to a video game. The story is almost inconsequential. The game says it takes place during the Annihilation event, when the Negative Zone waged war against the Marvel Universe. But it's a fairly loose interpretation of that conflict. The narrative just needed an excuse for why the player must fight the unlockable heroes before they will join the roster. Speaking of that roster, it has 15 characters at launch, and it's an interesting selection. There are the obvious favorites like Iron Man and Captain America, but also some more obscure heroes like Beta Ray Bill or Cosmic Ghost Rider, who I cannot believe is actually in a video game. 4 of the heroes, Phyla-Vell, Venom, Phoenix, and the Silver Surfer, are under Annihilus's mind control. We'll have to knock some sense into them during the story mode before they become available to play. Marvel Cosmic Invasion handles almost as good as it looks. The controls are tight and responsive. None of the moves require more than 2 buttons, and they're the same for every character, so there's no need to learn a lot of different sequences. Each one has a basic attack, like a punch, a power attack, like Iron Man's repulsors, and an ultimate move that typically clears the screen. They all have either the ability to dodge or to block. If the character is a blocker, like Cap with his shield, they can also parry an enemy's attack if the player hits the button with perfect timing, briefly leaving their foe open to a counter. A few characters, like Storm and Phoenix, also have the ability to fly. They can float over pits and other environmental hazards, as well as engage enemies in the air or on the ground. It's not a terribly useful mechanic, but it is a cool thing that most games like this tend to ignore. Every character has their own moveset, with a suite of unique animation. Some are brawlers like She-Hulk, who can throw bad guys across the screen or smash them into the ground. Some are more ranged, like Rocket with his collection of guns and random explosives. Others are just plain weird. I still have no idea how to play Venom properly. This game also features a tag mechanic. You pick two heroes and have the ability to switch between them anytime. It's not just for rotating out ultimates or giving a damaged character a break. Tagging is quite powerful when applied offensively. You can call in your partner to help you wail on a tough target, to guard your back, and even set up tag team combos. One hero knocks the bad guy into the air, and the other one jumps in with a flying kick to finish him off. That kind of stuff. And it's all context sensitive. Combined with the dodging and blocking, this enables some insane combos. Once you find a pairing that really works for you, it won't be long before you're juggling enemies all over the screen. Marvel Cosmic Invasion may have an early 90s arcade aesthetic, but the combat mechanics have been pleasantly modernized. Now that pumping players for quarters is no longer the primary purpose of a beat-em-up, the game doesn't have to be punishingly difficult. Most of the time. But some of the boss fights have a surprisingly sharp spike, most notably Venom. Even as I tried to avoid him and strike from afar, Venom was routinely able to kill my heroes in just a few hits. It was frustrating, because none of the previous bosses had done so much damage while taking so little. After a string of fantastic failures, it seemed like the game was demanding a perfect performance from me in order to continue the campaign, which would have been unfair. Yes, eventually I figured out the trick to beating him, but that experience just shined a light on the problem. You must master parrying. There are enemies and bosses that are basically impossible to defeat without it. I'm a huge fan of the parry mechanic, but what makes it cool is that great players can use it to show off. If perfectly timed parries are required, that turns it into a skill ceiling that some players can't get past. That's fine for something like Dark Souls, where getting kicked in the teeth over and over is the whole point. But not every game has to be Dark Souls. Most of them shouldn't be. Bosses are almost always the least fun part of any beat-em-up, so it's unwise to trap players there any longer than necessary. That's certainly true of Marvel Cosmic Invasion. Most of the bosses have annoying gimmicks and invincibility phases that makes these dull encounters just drag. The battle against Thanos was almost clever, but the game doesn't make the gimmick clear enough for the average player to infer. I shouldn't have to pull up a wiki to figure out how to kill a boss in a beat-em-up game. The answer should always be, punch them until they die. It does not need to be more complicated than that. The foundational idea the entire genre is built upon is the power fantasy of being able to wade into a gang of bad dudes and give them all a savage yet cinematic beatdown. Getting absolutely bodied by a villain that's bigger, stronger, and meaner than you is not part of that fantasy. It's just a reminder of the reality you're playing a video game to avoid in the first place. Despite its flaws, I still enjoyed Marvel Cosmic Invasion immensely. If you have nostalgia for old arcade-style games, or are a really big Marvel fan, I bet you will too. It's not terribly deep, but it is a fun game to jump in and play a few rounds every now and then. Plus, you can play as Cosmic Ghost Rider. How do you say no to that?